I thank the gentleman and now yield 5 minutes to Ms. Ilhan Omar from Minnesota.
Thanks, Chairman. Every year we have this hearing where Republicans warn us about the dangers of spending while trying to avoid the revenue part of the equation. We are told that spending is the only problem, but apparently none of these concerns apply when it comes to the Pentagon and paying off military contractors. President Trump's budget request in the Congressional Republicans' reconciliation bill would bring military spending to a new all-time high of $1 trillion. And they are doing this while proposing a 23% cut to non-defense discretionary spending in the budget proposal. This means slashing education, healthcare, nutrition assistance across the board with both Trump's budget and the reconciliation bill. Mr. Linden, is there any precedent for giving a department that has never passed a full audit a blank check of this size?
This would be the largest defense budget in nominal terms, yes, in history.
Do you think it makes any fiscal sense to increase military spending by this magnitude and in such an unchecked manner?
I think that in an environment where we are being told that we don't have enough money to make sure that every American has basic health care, or that poor families have to give up their $6 a day in food benefits, or that there's not enough money to spend on cancer research or on housing vouchers, which are things that the president proposed eliminating. It's very hard to understand why we do have money to spend on tax breaks for rich people and corporations, and there's always more money to spend on defense, but there's not enough to go around for, an American who's just struggling to get by.
Yeah, thank you. It doesn't really make any sense to me as well. And Mr. Winfrey, I think you mentioned a little bit earlier that when you were at the White House in the first Trump presidency, that you were able to convince the president to not spend so much on defense. Why do you think there is just this interest right now to get us to this $1 trillion spend on the Pentagon?
I'm no defense expert, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. But I don't think that what the Pentagon is dealing with right now is a money issue. Some of it is a management issue. And I'm sure that they're trying to correct for what they see as problems with the management over at the Pentagon right now with the leadership change.
Would you still advocate for us not spending $1 trillion?
Oh, listen, I would cut the vast majority of the federal budget, including, I think that there's a lot to look at in the Pentagon. I actually think that, one of the budget process reform ideas that people have talked about in the past is a zero-based budgeting, a bottom-up budgeting, and literally asking, what are we spending money on, and is it worth it? I mean,
as a former legislator, I know everybody talked about this. That is kind of what we normally do, right?
It is.
Because we are required
it's what
to balance the budget, so we start over. But I'm particularly interested in this conversation about the defense budget.
And I would start this at the Pentagon.
Yes,
I think the Pentagon is a great place to start.
I'm wondering, because I'm assuming that you and I are not on the same side of the aisle. I'm wondering if you and I can agree on the fact that the defense budget should be looked at. Why is there never really an agreement on both sides to do so? What do you think is the obstacle there?
I think that like I said, I think that there are a lot of forces from the outside who benefit from more government spending, right? And that's in the Pentagon's budget. It's also in the domestic budget. I bet this will surprise you. The highest paid healthcare insurance CEO in the country is a Medicaid managed care provider. The highest paid healthcare insurance CEO in the country. 100% of his revenue comes from the federal government. 88% of his beneficiaries are Medicaid recipients. Personally, I don't think people should be getting rich off of providing for national defense, and I also don't think that people should be getting rich off of the welfare.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I once remember my son, when he was in 6th grade, he was really upset about the number of administrators that were in the school and the fact that they got paid 3 times, 4 times more than his teachers, because he inquired. And I remember proposing legislation to level that out to make sure that that wasn't existing. I do think it is important for us to have these conversations, because if you are serious about fiscal responsibility and taking care of the American people with our tax dollars, then we have to be serious about where the money is being spent and where it's going. And the fact that we, have 800 military bases across the world, where our next adversary has one. It makes no sense to me, because we continue to spend money on that. We continue to have our sons and daughters live abroad for many years away from their lives, the opportunities that they could have, for no reason, while you and I pay for it. And so these are, I think, really interesting conversations, and I'm glad we're having them. Thank you.
I think the gentlelady, and if she would indulge me for a comment about defense spending, my last words to Secretary Hegseth was, we have to root out the waste at the Pentagon. We are not intellectually honest as Republicans who need help in restoring the mantle of fiscal responsibility by actually following through when we have the opportunity, like with reconciliation. And I agree with you, and I'm pleasant.
And I would say, Chairman, I thank you for saying that. If you, I'm sure you visit our military bases,
Yes,
and you
I
have
have a
conversations with generals in command across the United States and abroad. Every single conversation I've had with them is that we continue to manufacture weapons that they don't need, that are sitting in stockpiles. So there is a lot of conversations that we could have about the actual waste, and there is a reason why the Pentagon has never passed a single audit. And we should join forces to make sure that they do that before we give them a single dime.
And every time I agree with you, I do it at my political peril. But
Me too.
I say we should not discriminate where there is waste.
Of course.
And where the sacred treasure of your constituents and mine are not being well spent for the mission of providing the common defense or the public good, for that matter. And I know you're committed to that. I appreciate your comments. I just got 2 or 3 primary opponents for that side comment. But
Let me know if you need help.
help me less, Ms. Omar.
If we get the Pentagon audited, I will work to make sure you win your
Amen.
primary. I don't know about the general, but I'll get you through your.
We definitely have common ground there. Mr. Chuck Edwards from the great state of North Carolina, you just bring us on home with 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. To all of our guests, thank you for being with us this afternoon.